with your background, Magnus, I want to circle back to open source. Do you remember when was the first time that you learned about the concept of open source and maybe even started to get involved?
At some 20 years ago, I was involved in something called Service Availability Forum, SAF. And it was an effort to standardize via very high availability. And that's always a part of the telecom DNA. So to support that effort, we also put together something called OpenSAF, which was an initiative to get people to write code around SAF. It didn't really take off. It's a really niche part, but at least we tried to do that. And then I came across the idea of open source. And at the same time, we also co-founded something called Scope that had a tagline promoting open carrier grade based platforms. And there was a lot of telecom participants, but also datacom. And the idea was to try to get away with all the diversity. I mean, we said that let's do something that is not cutting edge and it's not sort of value add in a standardized way. So and work with implementation and standards for that, so that we don't have to spend all our efforts and time on doing the same thing over again. Because in many companies, they were reinventing something that they were comfortable with, and that was the base platform. And we thought it would be a good idea for the industry to go away from that. So we wanted to streamline and make use of non-telecom technology, because at that time as well, telecom got away from being really specialized into being part of the IT industry. And part of that effort was to promote Linux as an operating system, as opposed to Solaris and other variants that were active then, and other open source components. And we also worked with Java, which is maybe not open source, but a lot of open source projects had Java as a programming language. And we had a lot of participants from Linux distributors like Red Hat and others, and they wanted to push for Linux. And also I looked into this big data, as it was called at the time. I don't know if it's called that anymore, but a huge amount of data that you could do analytics on and find out a lot of things. So I went to conferences and listened to all kinds of companies that had made a lot of use of that. And there was an open source initiative called Hadoop at the time. And I studied that, and that made a lot of sense. And I also went to visit Cloudera, who was sort of leading in Hadoop. And they at the time they had a big, what do you call it, a big warehouse where the whole company was sitting. There were no walls. It was a big thing in a shopping center in Palo Alto, where you could go in and you talk to various people, and you saw people sitting there coding and making business calls and everything. So I thought that was rather cool, and I kind of wanted to bring that idea or that climate into Ericsson in some way. Since I was working at the CTO office, I thought that maybe we could inspire someone to adopt that way of working, and then I was intrigued by MySQL, which was a database, and I met with Morten Mikos, who was one of the guys who were running that, and I thought that sort of business or development model they have was intriguing. Although, I mean, maybe the business model of that company wasn't that good. But anyway, I did So what they did in essence was that they based their development on open source. They found good programmers online, and then they contacted them and said, you can have a bunch of money. You get money from us. There are no obligations. You're not employed by us. You have to get your computer and everything up yourself. The only thing we're telling you is, please go and improve our code in open source, in the open source project. And if you're good, if you do something we like, we'll send you more money. So I thought that was intriguing, that way of working. And because you go away from all this employer-employee and the legal aspects and everything around that, because you don't really employ them. So I invited Morten to make a speech at Ericsson, and I took a lecture hall that took 100 people. I thought that would be enough, but it was packed with people who wanted to hear about this. But they were all sort of a bit skeptical towards this. They were, no, how can this be? And how do you know that they're doing the right thing? And so on. So it was very much a clash of cultures at that time. But it was interesting to see. So open source is a development strategy. That's one way of doing it. So again, a mix of technology, business, people, and legal aspects that intrigued me.
So Magnus, what was the year that you had Martin come talk? How long ago was that? Was he still running MySQL at the time?
Yeah, he was. They sold it to Sun, right? Didn't they? Yeah.
So this was before the Sun acquisition? Okay.
Yeah. So this must have been, can it be 2006, 2007?
Yeah.